What's going on, guys? I'm Pete, and this is Retro Game Attic. Now, recently, one of my friends gave me his childhood copy of Gex, Enter the Gecko, for the Nintendo Game Boy. But unfortunately, the cartridge didn't work on my Game Boy. Usually with these old cartridge-based games, pretty much all you need to do is just clean the contacts with isopropyl alcohol, and you're good to go. But in this case, isopropyl alcohol won't do the trick. So what I'm going to have to do is to reflow the solder points on the chip on the actual cartridge's board. So let's see if we can get it going. So here we'll get a close-up look at the cartridge. There's a little blemish on the label there, but otherwise it looks pretty good. So let's pop it in the Game Boy, and it powers on. And it gets to this black screen, and it doesn't have any volume or sound. It doesn't progress at all. So we'll shut it off, and let's try it again. And bummer, it's a black screen again. So the next step, I'll keep it simple, and I'll just take some isopropyl alcohol and clean the contacts on the cartridge itself and see if that fixes the issue. 9 times out of 10, that fixes the issue, and we'll wipe the contacts down. Not too much gunk came off the contacts, so I guess it wasn't that dirty to begin with. So I'll clean off both sides of it right here, and I'll flip the cotton swab around and wipe off any excess isopropyl alcohol that's on there. And again, not too much gunk on here, so I guess it wasn't that dirty to begin with. But let's try it again and see what happens. It powers on. Okay, wow, it actually is working. It's progressing, sound works. Let's fast forward a little bit through here and see what's going on. So I was able to start the game, and I'm entering the media dimension. So I was able to start up the game and move around a little bit, but then the game just froze. The sound worked decently, but I couldn't control Gex at all, and then it just popped back to that black screen we were experiencing before. So I am going to try to reflow some of the solder on the cartridge chips. So first things first, let's pop that game open. And I'm going to be using a game security bit. This is another one I snagged off of Amazon. They're cheap, they're plentiful, and luckily there's only one screw on the cartridge, so it's easy to pop off. And we'll pop that screw in the magnetic tray so we don't lose it. And the cartridge is open, and here we can see the board. It actually looks pretty clean, so I guess either it wasn't dirty or that isopropyl alcohol at least did its job. But I'm going to hit it with alcohol one more time again just to make sure we're good. So next step, I'm going to grab my trusty soldering iron, and I'm going to heat it up to 450 degrees. And I'm using the finest tip that came with my set. And then from here, I'm just going to work along both sides of the chip, and I'm just going to touch each solder point very lightly with the soldering iron just to heat that solder up, just to try to make it get a little bit of a better contact. So you can see I'm moving along pretty steadily here, just lightly touching them, and then I'll flip to the other side and repeat the process again, just very quickly. I'm not going to sit on there too long because I don't want to heat the solder up too much and potentially cross solder points. So let's pop it back in the cartridge. I'm not going to put the screw back on just in case we need to get back in there quickly again, and let's try it again. And black screen. Bummer. So let's pop the game open again. So for the second round, I basically did the same thing again. I just kept the soldering iron on those solder points just for like a split second longer, just to see if I can heat it up just a little bit more. And then I'll flip it and go to the other side and repeat the process. Again, not staying on those points too long, but a little bit longer than my first run. And then I'll pop the game back in the Game Boy, and black screen again. So this is a little bit more of a drastic measure. I took a little bit of flux here, and then I just heated up a tiny bit of soldering wire, just to have some of it on the tip of my soldering iron. And again, I repeated the process. This time I stayed on these points just a little bit longer than the second time, and I'm moving right along here. And it's probably a little hard to tell from the video, but this third time, it definitely heated up the solder a little bit more, so I think that was the way to go. I was kind of being a little timid at first and not heating it up enough, but I think this did the trick. And I'll repeat the process for the second row. Again, not staying on there too long. So let's pop that board back in the cartridge, put that cartridge in the Game Boy, and see how we did. It's starting up again. Good sign. I'm entering the media dimension. Alright, and Gex is moving around, jumping around. It seems to be playing and responding well. It's not freezing. The sound works well, and the display works well. So all in all, it was a success. And that was a chip solder reflow on a Game Boy cartridge. I want to give a shout out to my friend for giving me the game. Thank you so much, and I was really pumped to get it going again. So what did you guys think? It's a pretty straightforward and easy process. Just as long as you take your time and don't move too quickly, I think it's pretty much in anybody's lane. So what did you guys think? Are there any other techniques that I should know about? Is there anything you would have done differently? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for checking out Retro Game Attic. I seriously appreciate you all, and I will catch you on the next one. Later.